Time now for one full hour of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, your hosts, Marty Hough and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert.
You're listening to The Straight Line on drag racing at MRN.com. Thanks for being here for our 1 hour of horsepower. Appreciate you joining us. Mr. Back-to-Back, Chris McGaha, will be here again. A win for J.R. Todd helps himself in a big way. And the Giant Killer, Tommy Johnson Jr., joins us as well. The burnout is complete, and we are set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. A good afternoon and morning wherever you may be. This is The Straight Line on MRN.com, along with four-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert. I'm Marty Hough. Thanks for being here on MRN.com. And Doug, great weekend of racing at Pacific Raceways in Seattle, but all anybody wants to talk about, and deservedly so, is still Jack Beckman. An unbelievable weekend for him. Unfortunately, the only thing that would top it was to get into the winner's circle again and sweep the Western Swing, but lowering the quickest time in a funny car by a whole bunch on Friday night. Just an unbelievable string that these guys are on right now.
Well, they are. And if that thing hadn't dropped a cylinder in the semifinals at Seattle, I'm thinking we'd probably be talking to a different winner right now.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from TJ, they ran good, but Beckman's car has been running great, like incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about anywhere from about 3 to 5 hundredths on the field. I mean,
right.
Next to the next quickest guy. I mean, we're not talking about maybe a hundredth or maybe even a couple of thousandths or so. I mean, they're hammering the competition.
Well, and the cars went down the track so many times in a row, and then that in that semifinal run drops the cylinder right when he hit the throttle. I'm guessing it's a little check valve or a little, some little thing. It's like we've talked about before. There's a million ways to do it wrong and one way to do it right, and they've been doing it that one way right for a long, long time, and just something happened. But it happens. There's a lot of parts in these cars. I'm guessing if we talked to Beckman, he would, or Proc, they'd say, yeah, we had a little, a little nozzle check valve messed up, something like that.
Yeah. And when you put and Jack is one of the guys, and I hear a lot of people talk about this, and I've heard you say it as well, but Jack probably says it more than anybody else, is that when you put nitro in the tank, anything can happen.
Yeah, all bets are off.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, they had run. It was an incredible number. It was like over 20 times straight down the track without having the tires come up or having any.
Well, he'd
problems.
already won 3 races in a row.
Yeah.
So he was getting ready to make it 4 races in a row, which has not happened very many times. In history of NHRA.
Yeah.
But that was an incredible run by Beckman and that team. So really, I was texting with Jack yesterday or Sunday, I guess, and just talking to him about how that went and what the heck, and how pissed I was.
Yeah.
Not as mad as him probably, but he just takes, he was more like, well, you know what? It was incredible. He was happy for what it was, which is what you have to be because it was incredible. But a little bit disappointing to be that close to grabbing that swing and not making it happen.
It would have been 4 in a row total, and the Western Swing thrown in on top of it. I mean, just a
pretty big. But the good thing is I don't think they're done.
No,
because they've got everybody covered by so much. So they're doing something that everybody else doesn't have quite figured out yet, and it's probably going to take them a little while. Even the other DSR cars. Proc struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year.
Oh yeah,
and but boy, with Medlin and Proc and Cunningham, I mean, they've got a pretty all-star team over there, and
that's on one team. That's not not Don Schumacher team. I mean, that's one funny car team where you've got 3 brain trusts like that have all
each of those
won.
3 guys have one tuning their own cars.
Right.
So now they're all working on one car together, and it seems to be working out pretty good. So super congratulations to them. And then, like I say, can't take anything away from TJ winning the race. They did good. They went down the track. He was consistent. He was on. Obviously, in the final, he was on. We'll talk to him a little bit about that, beating Warsham spanked him pretty good on a hole shot.
Yeah, and so we will talk to Tommy Johnson Jr. coming up a little bit here in just a couple of minutes. We'll also talk to J.R. Todd, winner in the Top Fuel category, and it did himself quite a few favors, jumping himself up quite a few notches in the points. Probably gets himself away from that big mess down at the bottom of the Top Fuel point standings. And we'll also talk to Mr. Back-to-Back, like we said in the open, Chris McGaha. Gone a long time. Like we talked to him last week.
I told him.
Yep.
I said, you got the winner down, the winner deal down. They'll probably start coming. And, oh, boy, I didn't know if they'd come that quick, but it'll be good to talk to him a little bit about that. I'm sure he's pumped.
Yeah, because I don't think the first one had quite worn off yet, and here he is holding the second one.
Well, and the way that car's running, I mean, he ran low ET and top speed of the race, and low ET of every round except for one. I mean, they've got that car running.
Yeah,
really well.
They've figured it out.
They've got something figured out.
Yeah, I mean, they bought Mike Edwards' equipment, brought it down to Texas where they're based. Everybody thought, well, he's a contender for the championship, and then all of a sudden, they really didn't run as well as they would have liked. It'd taken them a couple of years to finally kind of get the combination. But boy, when they found out, the driver's on his game, driver's doing well, the equipment's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it's showing off. He's winning races now.
Oh, absolutely. No, they've definitely got something that's going. It's going really good. So it'll be good to talk to him a little bit about that. And like you say as well, J.R. Todd, the whole Coletta team, Redline Oil on that car was, they didn't break their backs. He ran low ET of one round, and that just happened to be in the final round. So that's usually a good time to run, to run really well. But, good job by the Coletta team there getting that car in the winner's circle.
Yeah, we'll talk to JR coming up here closer to the bottom of the hour. And with Connie on the sidelines, it'll be kind of interesting to find out what JR's take is in working with James Riola and how that changes a little bit when Connie's not at the racetrack and how they try to set it up. Is it more to Connie's taste, or are they trying to do something that's more in their comfort level?
I think if Connie's not there, James is capable of running that car. He confers a lot with Jim Oberhofer, and Jim's kind of over the whole bunch. He runs mostly Doug's car, but also he has a lot of input on, especially on the dragsters, but of the whole team. But at the track, I think a lot of the dragsters. So, yeah, great job by those guys. Also, looking at the top 10, man, Clay Milliken has went back to almost 5 rounds out of top 10. It's going to be hard for him to make that up. In funny car, you've got Courtney Force. She's almost 4 rounds out of the top 10. That's going to be tough. There's 2 races to make it up. Indy is some extra points, so that's a pretty good opportunity there. But we said, going in there's going to be people that are going to pull away. And surprisingly, in the funny car, it hasn't happened much with Alexis Height and Courtney really pretty tight there. And
that's 3 cars going for 2 spots.
3 cars going for 2 spots.
And if one of those is going to be left without a place in the countdown coming up after Indianapolis. Good to see Alexis is okay after a really scary run. During qualifying, blew the whole body off that car, which they're trying to reduce that. And they've done a really good job of keeping the funny car bodies on the chassis when you have a blow up like that. But I believe it was Friday, she blew one up and the entire body came off of it. And she got it over to the side, got up on the top of the car, was waving her hands. I mean, it looked like a really scary ride, but she let everybody know that it was all good. And
I learned something at Denver, and we've had pan pressure, like basically a sensor on the oil pan of the engine, which senses pan pressure. So in other words, if you get a bad piston, if the engine's starting to expire, pan pressure goes up. Well, it used to be just something we monitored. Now the pan pressure is hooked to the shutoff switch. So on most of the cars, it's not a mandatory thing, but on most of the cars, when the engine is starting to go away, the engine just shuts off. probably a good deal with the amount of penalties that are out there right now.
Well, right.
Especially in qualifying. I mean, in eliminations, I guess you want to get to the finish line first. Upside down on fire doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Qualifying, if that thing's going to blow up, just shut it off.
Right.
But you can't tell that necessarily when you're driving the car, because obviously
you're pretty
Going,
busy.
yeah, I mean it's going pretty fast, even if it's not, even if it's running on 7 cylinders, still going pretty fast. As Jack Beckman ran pretty good on 7 cylinders the whole way down the track. So, but at any rate, that is what they're doing. They're monitoring pan pressure. When the pan pressure starts to go off, the cars are shutting off automatically.
Yeah, and that's reducing a lot of those big blow-ups, especially in funny cars where the bodies are blowing off them, and keeping everybody safe. When we return, we will talk to the funny car winner at Pacific Raceways this weekend, the driver of the Make-A-Wish Dodge Charger, Tommy Johnson Jr. will join us next.
This is The Straight Line. More right after this.
Save on your next oil change with 5 quarts of Castrol GTX conventional motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for $22.99. Plus, earn double O Reward points. Protect your engine with Castrol GTX conventional motor oil and a MicroGuard filter, $22.99 at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
NHRA drag racer Doug Herbert here to talk about safe driving. In early 2008, my 2 sons were killed in a car accident that was caused by speed and inexperience. After the accident, I learned that over 6,000 teenagers each year are killed in car accidents, so I formed a nonprofit organization called Brakes. Brakes stands for Be Responsible and Keep Everyone Safe. Please visit our website at putonthebrakes.org to learn more about responsible driving and what you can do to keep our roads safe.
Listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts with Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Appreciate you joining us on a Wednesday afternoon. It is The Straight Line on MRN.com, and joined now by the winner at Pacific Raceways this weekend in the Seattle area, driver of the Make-A-Wish Dodge Charger funny car for Don Schumacher Racing, Tommy Johnson Jr. joins us. TJ, congratulations on a big win.
Hey guys, thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, it was nice to be on a roll here lately.
Well, you took the guy out. You messed up Beckman's whole chance to win there. Does that make you feel bad, TJ?
No, not a lot. No, to be honest. I tell you what they did those couple races, just amazing. The ETs and the numbers they were running, and to have a shot to be the guy to ruin the sweep. You just want a shot. At that point, you're like, all right, well, we'll take our shot. Let's see what happens. And luckily, it paid off.
You talk post race about having the most consistent car all weekend. I think we can probably make a really good argument that you've had the most consistent car all season long, and this has just been kind of a microcosm of your entire season.
It has, and that's what we focused on. We're not going to go out and set low ET, be the quickest car every run. That's just kind of not what we do. But we're going to make a really good run. We're going to make a really competitive run. We're going to do it a lot, and they're going to have to beat us, and I think in the long run that'll pay off, and it's been really good. John Collins, Rip Reynolds, and all the team have done a really good job of making our car consistent. We're going to go down the track no matter what the conditions, and we're probably a little better when it's hot out and the track's a little slick. We seem to run a little better. We kind of close the gap. We're more competitive when it's hot out. If it's cool, we're not going to go out there and run that big number, but we'll run a pretty good one. But thankfully, Sunday was nice and hot, and the track got a little slick there in the middle of the day, and it worked out.
Well, and the good thing was your reaction times got better every round, and then you pulled it out. In the final, Worsham didn't have a bad light, but you were on.
It's funny. First round, I was like, I wasn't pushing first round. I thought, man, if I just cut a good light, run a decent number, we should win this round. And it was not as good as I wanted. I tell you the truth, I didn't sleep worth a darn Saturday night. I only got about 3.5 hours sleep. Sunday morning was just slow, and just your head wasn't in the game. And I thought, all right, that's it. Got to tune her up. Got to get in the game here, and just got better. You try to talk yourself into to cutting a better light. When you're not. I wasn't feeling it, and I was trying to talk myself into. You need to work on it. You need to get better light, and it didn't work. And I thought, you know what? Just go back to what you know. Just go up there and hit the gas.
Do you have voices in your head?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I
drag
have
racing's a
voices in
big
my
mental
head
game.
too. Yeah,
Drag racing's all mental. I mean, the reaction. Everybody says, "How do you cut a good light?" Well, it's all mental. The mental
Focus.
part is not thinking. Just doing it. And I just went up there and said, "All right, let's just go race." And second round I had a good light. Third round was better, and the final was great. So it worked out.
What you were talking about having a hot, greasy racetrack for the most part. I mean, it's hard to get hot and greasy up in Seattle. I mean, it happens every once in a while, but for the most part, it's a relative thing. But you had a bracket car in 3 of the 4 runs that you made on Sunday within 5 thousandths of a second. 075, 070, 073. I mean, that's amazing consistency. Ran a 405 against Chad Head in the second round, but that is really amazing when you start throwing numbers out like that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, to make these cars repeat and make them run the same every time with changing conditions and the track temperature changing, the weather getting warmer, and it's really a hard thing to do. And you have to be careful. Like the track in Seattle was actually really good. I mean, even though it got hot on Sunday, it still stayed really, really good. It got a little tricky out in the middle, of the course. That you could go really good early, and then you take a chance of smoking the tires when the clutch tries to go 1-to-1, and you have to be a little careful. You have to make sure everything's managed right out in the middle. But really good for Seattle, way better than we've seen in the past there. And John's been doing a great job. I actually probably ran the 07, 05, 05 because I took a couple in the semis and the final. I rolled around a little bit, took a couple. So I told JC, I said, we ran the 07, nice conservative, good run in the first round. It ran 05 probably every run after that.
Well, another thing that was neat that I was reading about, Tommy, was that, your 10 funny car win, 12th overall, but the third guy ever to win both in Top Fuel and funny car at Seattle. That was a kind of a neat stat.
Yeah, it was. It was really neat. I didn't realize that. And what's kind of ironic is I only won 2 Top Fuel races in my career, and I've also won a funny car race at both of the tracks that I won a Top Fuel race at. So I wish they put Memphis back on the
schedule. Yeah, right.
It's good thinking. As you mentioned, JC, John Collins, your crew chief, has he been looking over Jimmy Proc's shoulder and kind of digging through the toolbox and finding out what those guys are doing? It was, and I asked that because it was mentioned on the ESPN broadcast that Ron Tobler said that basically he knows exactly what Jimmy Proc is doing, but it wouldn't equate to what they're doing in their application on the Napa car. So I mean, it's really pointless to do and try to duplicate what the Infinite Hero car is doing. Have you guys been kind of looking over Jimmy's notes, or are you just doing your own deal?
No, Jimmy and John have been talking. They spent some time together after the race actually on Sunday and talked for a while, and we have an idea what they're doing, and Jimmy and John have talked. I'm sure they know. I'm sure John knows what he's doing now, and he kind of stumbled on something. I think Jimmy was not quick to tell everybody because he wanted to make sure it was actually going to work for an extended period of time. Sometimes you get parts, a batch of clutch disc, and the thing runs great, and then when you're out of those, you go back to your normal. And I think he stumbled on some stuff. I'm sure it's some stuff he's done in the past, and then also what he's learned coming to our team and some stuff we do, and he's kind of merged the two together. And I know there's a test session coming up before Indy, the week before Indy, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to go practice. I'm pretty sure we're going to be doing some testing. So we've actually run some numbers similar to those, some testing last year, and we know what we did to do that. It's just been one of the cases that when do you try that? We just haven't had an opportunity where we felt comfortable. Let's put those parts in. Let's try this, and let's see if we can make it work. You hate to give up a bunch of time, having the thing smoking the tires till you get it figured out. And our car is running so consistent so well that John he says, I hate to change things right now. Yeah. A lot of guys went to the 6-disc clutch. I've never run one. We've stuck with the 5-disc, and we know how to make that work. And until the time comes we need to move on, we will. And I'm pretty sure from what I've heard that when we go to the Indy test session before Indy, we aren't going to run our normal combination. We'll be running and trying to get our car to perform like what Jimmy's been able to do, and try some stuff that they're doing. And and I'm looking forward to it. I'd love nothing more to see than have him by himself out there a tenth ahead of us. I'd rather join him.
Right.
Yeah, right. Hey, so tell us about the car with Terry Chandler and the deal with Make-A-Wish on the car. Make-A-Wish is not a traditional sponsor, but tell us a little bit about how that works so the listeners can hear what a neat deal that is.
I'll tell you what, she might be the nicest person I've ever met in my life. Terry Chandler is just in love with drag racing. You know, her brother used to drive this car, and when she decided to step up and fund this team out of her pocket, and she wanted to give back. You know, she loves kids, she loves charities, she loves helping others, and to put Make-A-Wish on this car for free, donate that entire space, you know, to run one of these cars a year is, you know, around $3 million a year, and she pays the bill and gives it away, gives that space away to Make-A-Wish to raise awareness for what great things they do for kids that are going through some life-struggling illnesses, and we have the kids out to the races on Saturday and entertain them for a day, and to see them laughing and smiling, having a good time, and enjoying themselves at the race, it's awful rewarding, you know. And you look at those kids and see what they're going through, and you think, man, we got beat first round. Well, it's not that big a deal, you know, to see what they're going through, and to have them out, have them a good time, it's really great. And she's just a wonderful lady. And then to have her step up this year, Jack's car was without a sponsor. They had an Infinite Hero program, and she did the same thing for Jack's team. She's funding both of our cars and giving that space away to great charities and all the great things they do and raise awareness for them. And I tell you what, she's done a lot for a lot of people in drag racing. Just a absolutely fantastic lady, and it makes me really proud to be able to take home the victory for her. And her two teams have won the last 5 races, so
Yeah.
I think she's paid it forward.
No doubt about that. And we are chatting with the driver of the Make-A-Wish Dodge Charger, Tommy Johnson Jr. TJ, coming up to Brainerd, give us a little preview of that in here in about 10 days' time. Obviously, now third in points. You've reeled in pretty much those top 2. Things go right. I mean, realistically, you could find yourself on top of the funny car heap after Indianapolis and heading into the countdown.
Yeah, you know, going into the swing, we were doing well. We'd won Chicago, and I wanted to go. I wanted to make sure we got ourselves solidly locked into the countdown. You know, that was the goal was let's have some good points races and get ourselves locked into this thing. And we come out of the Western Swing in third place, and I think we're only 114, 115 points out of the lead. I'm like, all right, we've accomplished that, you know. Going to Brainerd, I mean, that's one of my tracks I really like. I've always done well there. I've raced there a lot. I was a Division 5 guy, being from Iowa, so I raced at Brainerd a lot. And last year we had a great car there. Semifinals, I was a couple car lengths, I think, ahead of John Force, and the manifold, the blower studs broke, and the blower come off of it and got beat. So it's I feel like we have some unfinished business at Brainerd. You know, I should have been in the final round there last year, and you know, coming up to Indy, I mean, it's the perfect time of the year to really be peaking. Our team's kind of our performance is peaking. The confidence of the team is really well, and you know, I got to look at that, thinking about it on the way home. I thought, you know, with points and a half, Indy's going to have points and a half. Yeah. Realistically, we could be leading it, you know, going into the countdown. So everybody says, well, you're locked in, you can relax, and I said, no. Now's the time to push. Yeah. You know, now's the time to go. If you're going to be a championship contender, now's the time to really focus and go.
Yep.
Hey, Tommy, I saw your sister over here that she works for Dale Jr. and does his charity stuff, and so that was pretty neat. I haven't seen your dad in a while. What's he up to?
Yeah, my dad. They were in Denver. My parents they go to about 6 races a year, and he was moving, Doug. That's why he hasn't been out too much lately. They moved here recently, and my sister looking forward to coming to Charlotte, seeing everybody down there, and she does a lot of great things with Dale Jr. And it's kind of ironic. They do a lot of stuff with Make-A-Wish, so we have a lot in common nowadays.
Yeah, no kidding. That's great. Great to hear.
Tommy Johnson Jr., thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Driver of the Make-A-Wish Dodge Charger. Funny car for Don Schumacher Racing. Winner of the funny car division, and now just 114 points out with 2 races to go before we hit the countdown. Good to be on a roll at this point of the season. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Loving life here lately. Hope to join you a bunch more.
All right. That is Tommy Johnson Jr., and doing some really good things. A very consistent race car, and we've talked about it all season long that, boy, they don't put up the big numbers. They're not going to set any eye-popping, jaw-dropping numbers, but, man, they get down the racetrack a lot.
Well, and, if you look back at different guys over the years, Dick LaHaye has won a lot of races as a driver and a crew chief by getting down the track a lot. Not a lot of times they set low ET, a few times here and there, but it was going down the track and running really well. Wins a lot of races.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he always figured. Okay, well, I'm going to go down the track and we're going to run this, and if they can beat us, then that's the way it goes. And you get some trophies on the shelf from doing that.
Yep, and Tommy Johnson in that crew with John Collins and the Make-A-Wish guys are one of those guys that are really doing that and accomplishing it in a big way. Third now in points, heading into Brainerd in a couple of weekends. When we return, we will talk to the winner of the Top Fuel Division, driver of the Red Line Oil Dragster for Connie Coletta. J.R. Todd joins us next.
You're listening to The Straight Line. More right after this.
Hi, this is Eli Gold. Have a question or comment for MRN or your favorite driver? Call our new fan hotline at 844-4ASK-MRN. Be a part of the voice of NASCAR at 844-4ASK-MRN.
O'Reilly.
If it's time to top off, flush or refill your cooling system, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for O'Reilly Universal Premix Antifreeze and Coolant, $8.99 a gallon. Protect your engine with O'Reilly Universal Premixed Antifreeze and Coolant, $8.99 a gallon at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, this is Eli Gold. Have a question or comment for MRN or your favorite driver? Call our new fan hotline at 844-4ASK-MRN. Be a part of the voice of NASCAR at 844-4ASK-MRN.
It's The Straight Line.
Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Here's more with Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Join the Straight Line Conversations on social media. There's lots of ways of doing that. Via Twitter at MRN Radio, at Doug Herbert, and at Straightline MRN. You can also search and like us on Facebook at Motor Racing Network, the Doug Herbert fan page, and Breaks with Doug Herbert. Joined now on the telephone line by the driver of the Red Line Oil Top Fuel Dragster for Team Coletta and winner of the Top Fuel Division this weekend at Pacific Raceways. J.R. Todd joins us. J.R., congratulations, a big win for you guys and doing it at a really good time of the year.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, we needed that. We're in a big points battle for the top 10, and it was good to rack up some points out there in the Western Swing, and hopefully we can carry that momentum through Brainerd and on into Indy.
Yeah, jumping up to 6, you're off the bump spot and looking pretty good going in to these last couple races. So that's make you sleep a little bit easier at night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's stressful worrying about the top 10. And like I said, I'm hoping we can secure our spot after the Brainerd race, and that way we don't have to worry about, tiptoeing around at Indy. We can go there and just, like I said before, let her eat and try and win that race.
Well, the big thing is getting a win. I mean, everything else, the wins kind of cure a lot. Not only the points, but it just gets it gets you jazzed up. It gets everybody energy and excited for everybody over at us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way our season the guys, they were kind of down the dumps, and this was definitely the shot in the arm that we needed, and kind of shows that we're still capable of going out there and running with everybody else, and hopefully, we're heating up at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look like a spectacular weekend for you guys heading into Sunday. 6th qualifier. Dougie had really kind of struggled throughout the weekend and was a first round out. When did it hit you that, hey, we may have a horse to get us there?
I actually felt like we could have won the race in Sonoma. We qualified well there, and we stumbled first round on Sunday in Sonoma, but car was trying to run way more aggressive than what we were trying to do. And after that, I mean, we made a good run second round, and it just dropped a hole in the semi. So I knew that we had a horse there, and we kind of stumbled qualifying in Seattle. And Jimbo, he was trying some things with Dougie's car. And then Sunday, we just got our act together, and I was a little worried about running Milliken first round again because those guys been running really well the second half of the year, and they're trying to make a big push for that top 10. So that was a crucial matchup for us. And once we got that out of the way, I felt like after that run, I mean, that was our best run of the weekend, that we definitely had a car that could go out there and win the race. And sure enough, we were fortunate enough to turn on the win light 3 more times after that.
Well, and you picked a really good time to make your best run of the day in the final, too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the car was trying to run really well all day. I mean, we went 383, I think it was, against Terry McMillan, and that smoked the tires pretty good down track and put some cylinders out. So we were trying to run, just as good as those other guys. Dixon, I think he went 79 that round, which was a really good run. But, yeah, for the final round, that 82, I mean, you got to be loaded up for bear against Alan Johnson and those guys. And we were fortunate enough to get by them when they dropped the cylinder. And, all in all, it was a great weekend for us.
We've always said when you guys win, the safest place to be is at the top end because the mosh pit is going down at the start line. But this time it caught up to you.
Yeah, that used to be the safest place to be. I guess now I'm going to have to keep all my safety gear on until those guys get finish roughing me up down there at the end of the track. But no, if that's what I got to go through to get a win, I'm more than willing to get beat up every weekend.
I was a little disappointed in Jimmo, though. Showing the replay, once you got through and the wind light came in on your lane and he's kind of doing the fist pump, he looks behind him, he looks over his shoulder and sees the mosh pit starting, and maybe the quickest run all weekend was made by Jimmo getting out of the way. I understand he's taken some pretty good shots in those mosh pits, but he got scarce quick out of that deal.
I think the only time I've seen him run faster than that's when his daughter Ashley was running after him to punch him in the gut. But yeah, he probably turned around and saw how big the guys were on my team when they were coming after him. So he probably did the smart thing, running out of the way, which I couldn't get away from. They got a hold of me at the end of the track, and a couple of them, like I said, they're pretty big. So I felt it after that.
Hey, JR, tell us about James Riola and Connie and the guys running the car and how you're able to put this winning team together.
Yeah, I mean, after Denver, we had some issues there and had a little meeting after Denver and Sonoma and just got everybody we kind of regrouped, changed the way we did things. Have Jimmo and James are working really well, talking with Connie on the phone. I mean, he had knee replacement surgery, so he hasn't been out the track here lately, been home rehabbing. And those two have been working really well with Connie. And between Jimmo and Connie talk on the phone and Jimmo relaying the info to James and the guys, it's just it really worked out starting in Sonoma. And hopefully we don't have to keep that up very long. We can get Connie back out there at the track and have him making the calls like he loves.
What's that?
I mean, I can't thank all those guys enough. I mean, they really dug deep out there in the Western swing, with as many points as anybody in the top fuel class. So that's great for our guys.
What's that communication like with James Riola? And obviously, he's a big part of the team. But when Connie's calling the shots, and you're kind of used to the language that he uses in the nomenclature, is there anything lost in the translation when James takes over and calling the shots?
Sometimes it's a little more difficult for Connie to fully know what's going on when he's not at the track. I mean, you're not there to see what the track conditions are or how the air conditions are, just a lot of things. So, I mean, it's tough for, James to relay everything back to Connie and, trying to make him feel like he's at the track. So between him and Jimmo, they've done a great job keeping him up to speed and helping him make the right decisions on our car. I mean, I have the easy job of just getting in there and hitting the gas. Those guys got the hard part dealing with Connie on the phone.
Well, Connie, he could probably tune a car over the phone better than most guys could in person. If you wonder about that, all you got to do is ask him, and he'll tell you. Right?
Yeah, that is for sure. I mean, he's pretty sharp for 77 years old. I wouldn't put anything past him by any means.
How's he doing in his rehab? I would imagine that probably the hardest job is not the guys in the pits or the guy that's doing the bottom end or something like that. It's the guy or the girl that's helping him out in his rehab. I think that's probably maybe the toughest job in the world right now.
Yeah, I'd say whoever the doctors and the nurses are that are helping, they deserve a gold medal and a pay raise for sure, because it's got to be tough dealing with him rehabbing. But, he's doing well, and we're hoping to, if he's not back by Brainerd, hopefully we have him back by Indy.
Well, good to see the Redline guys get in the winner's circle with that car, too. I'm sure Cameron and all the guys at Redline were pretty pumped.
Oh, yeah. Cameron, he was texting me all day long. Excuse me. He was flying back from one of his road races, I think was in Virginia. So he was texting me how he's in the air, using his Wi-Fi. And it was pretty cool to see him all pumped up after that. I mean, I think that's the first time that Redline Oil has had a primary sponsorship car in the winner's circle, so I was glad to be able to get that done for those guys. I mean, they've done a lot for the Colettas over the years and stepped up their involvement this year. And it seems like anytime we bring out the Redline car, it seems to run even better.
You probably need to put that on the docket more often. I'm just guessing. The guys at Team Coletta, we know. There's probably nobody that has more fun down in the pits. You guys are serious, and you want to win races and do as well as possible, but you also have fun. There's no question about that. So when you pit Team Coletta and the Zoo together coming up, that's got to be a pretty lethal combination.
That's funny you say that. I probably haven't been to the Zoo in at least 5 years. That's one place I try and stay away from. But I know some of my guys, they go out there and have a good time. So I can only imagine, like you said, you put the Coletta gang and the Zoo together, it's going to be a big party. So hopefully we can go out there and win on Sunday. Then maybe I'll take a trip out there to the Zoo and celebrate with those animals out there.
Well, yeah, you never miss. If you don't go out there, you don't know what you're missing, though, JR. Come on.
Afraid I won't make it back out is the problem.
Oh. Well, no, that.
Yeah, right, exactly. For those that may not know, once the sun goes down, you're either in or you're out. I mean, it's not like you just go through a gate or something like that. And basically, once you hit about 8 o'clock or so, boy, you better make your decision. You're either in or you're out of the Zoo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the old days.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. In the old days, it used to be the National Guard and the dogs went in when the sun went down. So it's like they tell the racers, "Okay, get out, guys, because it's going to be pretty wild."
That is for sure. But those are some great fans up there, and you can tell they don't get out much of the year except for that race, and they definitely put on a good show for the racers.
Yep, that's for sure. Hey, JR, congratulations, JR Todd, driver, the Coletta Motorsports Redline Oil Top Fuel Dragster and winner. This past weekend in Seattle Raceway.
And thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully we can talk again here soon.
Right on.
Thank you very much, J.R. Todd. And right now, 6th in Top Fuel points, and really helped themselves out because they were kind of at that bump spot and battling with the Millikins and
they've got
Conleys.
A safe spot in the top 10 now.
Yeah,
they've got a safe spot in the top 10. It's the one that's going to have a tough time right now is Millikin, which is sad because that car's really been running pretty good. Grubnick and the team has that car running well, and Clay does a good job driving. So they are a top 10 performing car right now, but they've had a little bit of struggles earlier in the year, so they're going to really have to pull it out next couple races. And JR's comfortable.
They ran really good in that first round against JR Todd, 76 to the 73. 78 to the 76 at J.R. Todd. So that was one of the better runs of the first round. Unfortunately, I mean, that's the beauty of drag racing. Sometimes, you can run the second quickest run of the round and still be on the trailer. But it shows it's got to give those guys confidence that they can go up against anybody and win at any point. I mean, they could go up to Brainerd, stick that thing in the winner's circle and find themselves maybe in the top 10 heading into Indy.
Right. Well, we talked to David Grubnick at the beginning of the year, right? And he said, well, we didn't get a chance to test. We're kind of, we're a new team. We're building this thing up, and their performance is coming right around. I mean, he's doing exactly what he said that they would be able to do. So good job by David and Milliken and the whole Parts Plus team over there.
Right. And I mean, if you can't root for both of those guys, David Grebnick and Clay Millican, you probably have some issues. But Grebnick was saying, they were 6 weeks before Pomona, and they didn't even have a wrench. They didn't have anything in their garage, and they put that thing together right at the last second. They didn't do any testing, anything like that. And so, to even put themselves even close to
Lance Larson is over there and kind of the team manager, and then David Grebnick, Clay Millican, Doug Stringer owns the team, and he's been involved with NASCAR racing and all kinds of different stuff. So they did a heck of a job. So I'm proud of those guys, and I'd like to see them get in the top 10.
Yeah, no question about that. And still, we got 2 races left to go, and they may still find themselves in the countdown by the time we get to ZMAX Dragway here just down the road here from our MRN studios. When we return, we will talk to the back-to-back winners of the Pro Stock category, the Western Swing, both at Sonoma and Seattle. We will talk to Chris McGaha next.
This is The Straight Line. More right after this.
The road to victory lane isn't just for drivers anymore. Introducing the official daily fantasy game of NASCAR at DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy sports site. Just pick a team of 5 drivers and stay under the salary cap. Outscore your opponents and win. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free. You could win part of the $1 billion in prizes being awarded this year. Enter COAST to play for free now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Chad Herbert designed and manufactured the first roller cam for racing in 1949. Today, NHRA drag racer Doug Herbert continues his father's legacy. Herbert Cam stocks cams for virtually all racing applications, from street ride to NASCAR and NHRA. Herbert Cams can also custom grind a cam for any application. Cams, lifters, valve springs, push rods, and all related performance valve train and engine parts in stock at the best prices. Visit HerbertCams.com or call our expert technicians at 800-444-7373 for all your racing needs. Herbert Cams.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now here's Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Find out more about teen proactive driving schools, schedules, events, and how to contribute. Lots more at putonthebrakes.org. Joined right now by the driver of the Harlow Salmon, Chevy Camaro, and back-to-back winners on the NHRA Mellow Yellow Series Tour. Chris McGaha joins us. Chris, I'm not sure if you'd come down from Sonoma, and then all of a sudden here you are with another one in Seattle.
Yeah, it's something, ain't it? Figured it would take a little longer to win a second one, and then 7 days later I got it done.
Well, I told you.
Yeah, you talk about coming down. I think today was probably the first day that has seemed a little bit normal.
Wow.
Well, I told you once you found the winner's circle, you'd find your way right back there again. I'm with you. It didn't take long. Great win up there in Seattle.
Yeah, it didn't take long, and it felt pretty good to do it again. I'm already ready to go try again at this point.
Yeah, the worst thing that could happen is you got a week off.
Well, actually, you don't get a week off. You got to come home and fix everything to get ready to go to the next one. So, and there's just as much work at the shop on a pro stock team as there is at the races.
Yeah. Well, how about low ET and top speed, number 1 qualifier again? You're not out there just winning races. You're knocking them dead, man, and that is tough in pro stock class.
Yeah, it is tough, and to be able to go out there and perform. But that's what it takes to win over there. You got to have the car to perform. And then it's all left up to the driver after that.
Ran the 48 6488 at 213 miles an hour in the first round. That was kind of the salvo that'll let everybody know, oh, wait a minute, they aren't screwing around. Was that intentional? Did you want to go out there and just throw down a monster run in that first round, or did it just kind of come up?
It kind of just came up. It was one of them deals. You get ready for race day, and you go, okay, you don't want to really start off swinging for the fence, and then you put everything on the car you think it's going to make through race day, and we put a different set of tires on that we felt like was a good set of tires, and lo and behold, it goes a 48. It's like, wow, it didn't really mean for that to happen, but it did. So, heck of it, I was like, wow. I was even speechless at that point. I was like, we had a 48 in there the whole time, and evidently we did. So.
Well, it's good when you're surprised by the performance being so great and running low ET of the race and eliminations and all that at one whack.
Yeah, it was definitely a shocker. I watched the races on TV after that, and Greg Anderson, oh yeah, there's a 49 out there, and we even talk about it. Oh yeah, you can go a 48 or a 49, or all it's got out there is a 55. But nobody ever talked about it in the pit, and then all of a sudden we go a 48. It's like, wow, and we didn't even talk about it. That was really one of the best runs we had ever made. We normally correct our runs to see how fast we are versus like a sea level.
Yeah.
And that was, at that point, had been our best run we had ever made until we ran the finals. And actually, the finals ended up correcting a little bit better than that run did. So that 50 in the finals is actually a pretty good run, too.
Wow. Talk to us. You mentioned you changed tires. For somebody like me, the layman, changing tires, that's no big deal. I mean, they do that dozens of times in a NASCAR race or even at an NHRA national event. I mean, you see these tires going back and forth all the time. But on a pro stock car, you have your choice of tires and sizes, and there's a lot of variables in there. Talk about the importance of tires and making a decision to change tires.
Yeah, it's and that's something that a lot of people don't know too, is they changed the actual tire we run this year.
Right.
We had one tire, and then they've changed it to this newer tire, so we're even still trying to learn this new tire some. But yes, you used to try to, and still do, you end up with different rollouts, and to try to make the gearing come out right for the back so the RPM will cross just right in the finish line. But some tires can be the exact same rollout, and for whatever reason, some of them will hunt the finish line and be fast, and some of them are just dog slow. And sometimes you never figure out, and you end up throwing those kind of away. And this particular set was that way. We actually used to do lots of burnouts on them, testing to get weight off of them and to get them right, and that's what we were doing at the first of the year. Well, this new tire apparently doesn't have to have that done, and this particular set we had burned out on, and they had actually gotten too big, and we were going to throw them out, and our reasoning on the team, Mike Stryker told us, no, don't do that, save them, let them sit in the shop and cure for a couple of months, and then we drug them back out and tested, and every time we put them on the car, they seemed to be fast. But yeah, from one set of tires to the next, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get.
Wow.
How long can you make those tires last? Will they last?
Well,
will they last through the end of the year?
No, that's the bad part about it over here. Used to, the old tires, you used to could get 40, 50 runs out of them. Now, it took 8 burnouts and 5 to 6 runs before you could really tell if they were worth anything or not. You had to do all that and run them a couple of times just to see if they were a good set or not. But then they would last 40 or 50 runs. These things, you burn out on them one time, you make 1 or 2 runs, you can start really telling in a hurry if they're good or not, and then they only seem to last 15 to 20 runs.
Very cool.
Chris, we didn't after talking to you last week and just kind of celebrating with you your first Pro Stock win, didn't get an opportunity to ask you about the changes in Pro Stock. Obviously, a lot of big changes coming for next year, some smaller ones for this year. Just kind of give us your overall thoughts about what's going on in the Pro Stock class.
Well, they come out with the list of rules and the hood and the fuel injection and RPM limit, and then they talked about the wheelie bars, and then we've already done all the other changes, putting the header up on the top of the windshield and turning the cars around, which, didn't see, there was a few disagreements about that, but everybody did it and gave in. We've been kind of talking with NHRA to see if we can get some of these things, they're going to be there, but maybe raise the rev limiter up some. Maybe give us a little more time on the flat hood. It's going to take some teams
some while to get that done. And some of these teams got 3 and 4 cars, and there's only a couple of guys that can modify the front ends, or if not, you got to do it yourself. The fuel injection, that's probably the neatest one. The fuel injection needs to happen. I should have never been in pro stock with carburetors to begin with. They should have had fuel injection 10 years ago. Yeah. It's kind of hard at 36 years old for a guy like me who's never drove a car across town with a carburetor on it to sit down and really relate to it.
Right.
And so that's a neat one, but I don't really agree with the rev limiter at 10.5. We're trying to get them to raise it some, whether they do or not, that's going to be their choice in the end. There's some teams that are probably going to really suffer really bad from it because that's how they figured out how to make their cars really run good, was to turn them more RPMs.
Well, it seems like, I guess they're trying to, get pro stock to be more, like you're saying, 35 years old and never driven a car with a carburetor on it. I suppose trying to bring it into where it can, where maybe the class relates more to younger crowd, I suppose.
Yeah, and I can understand it. And what I know, some problems, there's so many different problems to be associated with, but it's so hard, even for somebody who's 30 years old, to go, hey, I'm going to build me a top fuel team. I mean, it's such an undertaking to initially start. That's the real part that's hard for people to understand, is that initial, hey, I'm going to dive head first. Unless he has a sponsor or his family like mine is fortunate enough to have the money to do it. That's one of the hardest things, is just that initial jump in head first and then to be able to maintain it. And there's really no fixing that. It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way.
Hey, Chris, back to Seattle and the wins. 2 wins on the swing, back-to-back. How does that go along with what you expected to accomplish this year? I mean, I'm sure you planning on winning every race, but realistically, I mean, you got to be just tickled pink with the performance of your car and your team and everything that you have going on.
Oh yeah, it's great. All I ever set out to do was win a race. That was the goal. Was let's qualify. Okay, we qualified. Now let's win a round. Well, we won a round. Then it was let's win a race, because we had tried so long. Me and my dad had, for 30 years, the two of us had tried to win NHRA race and never had gotten it done. Not even on the sportsman level. Just couldn't. We always come up just that last little bit short. So to finally win one, it's like a huge accomplishment. And to then turn around and win another one, yeah. And now it's kind of like, okay, we got to set a new goal. And you look, and you say, well, I have a legitimate shot to go for the championship. Yeah. All we have to do is keep doing what we're doing, and we could end up there. We're in a spot to have a chance for it.
Yeah, no question about that. The win also clinches you into the countdown, so that's happening. So do plans change for you a little bit here for Brainerd and the U.S. Nationals, and knowing that you're in the countdown with without question?
Well, not really. We're going to Brainerd with the same intentions we had when we went to Seattle. We're going up there to do everything we can to win. If you're going to go for the championship, the higher you can start on that list, the better off you are. And so when you have Indy coming up with 1.5 points, that's going to be the whole list could change. There could be somebody come out of nowhere that is 3rd, 4th, 5th place and end up almost at the top with the last 2 races coming. And you could be at 3rd and end up, 5th or 6th if you don't watch it. So, yeah, you can't let your guard down now at this point.
Well, Chris, I'll tell you what, you're building up some momentum at the right time going into the countdown. And congratulations on the win at Seattle and the back-to-back wins. Yeah. So great job for you and your team. Super excited for you guys. Go up there to Brainerd and next couple races and show them what you got, man.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Chris McGaha, driver of the Harlow Salmon Chevy Camaro, and headed to Brainerd and trying to make it 3 in a row. And when we return, we'll wrap up another great edition of The Straight Line.
You're listening to The Straight Line. More right after this.
Changing your oil regularly will help keep your vehicle running its best. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, pick up 5 quarts of Quaker State conventional motor oil for $13.95 after a $3 mail-in rebate. Protect your engine with Quaker State at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
NHRA drag racer Doug Herbert here to talk about safe driving. In early 2008, my 2 sons were killed in a car accident that was caused by speed and inexperience. After the accident, I learned that over 6,000 teenagers each year are killed in car accidents, so I formed a nonprofit organization called Brakes. Brakes stands for Be Responsible and Keep Everyone Safe. Please visit our website at putonthebrakes.org to learn more about responsible driving and what you can do to keep our roads safe.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts with Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
If you can't catch The Straight Line live on Wednesdays, you can download the show and listen to it on demand. Lots of ways of doing so at the Media Center here at MRN.com. You can find it on iTunes or Stitcher. And thanks to those listening on the Race Day Nation app on iHeartRadio and the MRN app. Coming up, really some cool things happening with Brakes and actually with NASCAR.
Yeah, we've got some neat stuff coming up. With my old buddy Robert Flanagan put a little deal together to have Brakes on the number 66 car driven by Benny Gordon at Bristol in a couple weeks. So that Performance Energy Group, that'll be neat to have them representing us. We had Kyle Busch on the show a couple years ago. He's a good brake sporter. Obviously, he's just unbelievably hot right now in Sprint Cup. So really appreciate these guys supporting Brakes on the NASCAR side.
And one of the cool deals is at Bristol, everybody is so close that those sponsorships, and it's dark and it's, the lights are popping off those cars, that those sponsorships really jump off the cars.
Yeah, so hopefully he puts us in a really good spot. I'll be calling him later to bug him about that. But, racing coming up, Brainerd coming up. We'll be talking more about that next week. And then Indy, points and a half, another big deal. And then they're coming here to Charlotte. So excited for the first race of the countdown at ZMAX Dragway. Going to be a big deal on that Thursday night before the ZMAX race here, Thursday, September 17th, our Big Brakes Gala. Tickets are selling out, so need to
if you want to get in on that.
If you want to get in, you need to come. Our speaker this year is going to be Colonel William Gray. He's the head guy for the North Carolina State Highway Patrol. All the patrol guys work for him, and he's a pretty neat. I would relate him to a Blue Angel Thunderbirds Air Force. He is straight. Super neat guy. So he's got some great stories. We've got some neat statistics coming back from UNC Charlotte with Brakes. We've the Brakes training is tremendous help in reducing accidents, and we're going to have data and statistics from the North Carolina Department of Transportation and UNC Charlotte. We're going to be able to roll them out soon, and it is going to blow everybody away.
So if somebody's interested in coming to the gala, they're coming to the race on that weekend, how do they find out more information?
Come in Thursday and plan on going to the deal on Thursday night. It's at the Great Wolf Lodge. Go on the Brakes website, putonthebrakes.org, learn more information about it, call the Brakes office, and we'll get you fixed up.
And the Great Wolf Lodge just down the road from ZMAX Dragway, so it's all very convenient. Thanks to everybody involved in the show, and a big thanks to Robbie Mays also helping us out on the program today. So for everybody involved, thanks for being here. We will talk to you next week here on The Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Tune in next Wednesday at noon for more NHRA talk. The Straight Line is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.